You may be doing it wrong, but hopefully you're just talking about it wrong. When it comes to testing applications for security vulnerabilities, terms are used incorrectly all the time. If you don't realize it's happening, it can have dire consequences. Pretend that your cat is sick. You call the veterinarian, explain the symptoms, and the vet gives you advice. However, your cat doesn't get better. So you bring your cat to the vet's office. When she asks to see the cat, she's met with a surprise. It's not a cat. It's a horse. That's why the treatment wasn't working. A cat and a horse are not the same thing. They require different treatments. Yes, this metaphor is ridiculous. But there's truth in absurdity. Words matter. When talking about security, people are often as ridiculous as saying cat when they mean horse. Different security terms mean different things, yet they're often used interchangeably. They should not be. They're different things. You may not even realize this problem exists. It's hard to tell the difference, but it's important that you do. Otherwise, you might invest in security that doesn't meet your goals. Security terms are not interchangeable. If you use the wrong term, you get the wrong thing. Make sure you get the right thing. They're not the same thing. Security assessment is an umbrella term for all varieties of security testing. The most commonly referenced one is penetration testing. That has become a catch-all term. Unfortunately, it's misleading. True penetration testing is a tactical service suitable only for robust, hardened, thoroughly tested systems. However, when you ask for penetration testing, many providers tend to deliver something else entirely: lightweight vulnerability scanning. And if you weren't already frustrated enough, there's this. What you actually need is usually something completely different from either of those things. You probably need manual, white box vulnerability assessments. Pause and think about that. You ask for penetration testing. You're sold vulnerability scanning. But what you actually need are vulnerability assessments. Those are exceedingly different things. Each entails different approaches, levels of effort, cost, and outcomes. Your security struggles are hard enough as it is. The last thing you need is to get the wrong outcome simply because terms got mixed up. The marketing nonsense has gotten so bad that it's challenging to distinguish what's what. The reason for this is simple. Proper penetration testing is badass. It pits a skilled expert against your defenses in a win-or-die mission to see if you're secure. Any marketer would want their security service to sound like that. Unfortunately, it's also very hard to do, and isn't even appropriate for most systems anyway. As you learned earlier, there's a skills shortage, so there simply aren't enough people with enough expertise to do this properly. So what naturally happens is that other approaches, those driven largely by tools instead of experts, simply adopt the terminology. The marketing logic is pretty straightforward. If it sounds like the service people want, then people will probably buy it. This term confusion is so widespread that regulatory bodies and even your customers may explicitly require penetration testing, which drives you to seek that specific service by name. But of course, they're usually misusing the term too. What they really want is to ensure you have solid security and continue to improve it, as you'd get with vulnerability assessments. They're usually not looking for something that just scratches the surface, as you'd get when your penetration testing winds up being just vulnerability scanning instead. Yet they're unwittingly directing you with the wrong terms. The deck is unfairly stacked against you. There are lots of attackers, attack surfaces, and unknown vulnerabilities, and the very services that address this chaos are themselves unclear. That's a lot to deal with. If you want to have a chance at finding and fixing your vulnerabilities, defending against attackers, and proving that your app is secure, you absolutely must distinguish these terms. That's how you make sure that you get the testing you need. Because it's not the term that matters, it's the outcome.